And we are live right back here. It's another Saturday evening. And this is the Love Again podcast. It's me, Patrick Dionzel. And I'm glad to be here with you all. Thank you all for all of your feedback and for watching and rocking with me. We first started in January. And so thank you all for everything. I think we've had some great conversations and some great guests, and you always communicate to me that you're watching and that you're enjoying it, and it just means the absolute world to me. Hopefully, I don't want to waste your time, so hopefully you've gotten something out of our conversations. I'm excited today. I have a brand new friend here with me, joining us for the first time. We've made each other acquaintance over the last year. I know, and one of the most intelligent and interesting people that I've met before, and I'm glad that she's here with us. The one and only Veronica Moses. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. First off, again, like I told you, I love the look. The whole look. This is what this is. I'm a soccer mom. I'm here, and this is the vibe.
This is Saturday.
This is it.
Saturday had a look. This is Saturday.
I, I'm fully, I fully rock with all of it. I get it, and so I think that is absolutely adorable. That's just so. Thank you for taking some time out of your schedule to come and talk with us. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm rested, relaxed. I did a little hike today earlier.
a hike.
I did a hike.
Okay,
So I'm
on purpose.
yes. Yes.
Okay. No, I can see if your car stopped, maybe I have to take this hike to get to the nearest somewhere or whatever. You went hiking on purpose.
I did. I'll be 35 in October, so I'm in this kick like, all right, I gotta start working out. I gotta get right. I gotta get my body together and because I'm
Mhm.
going on a trip for my birthday. So I'm like,
Of course,
gotta get it together. Keep y'all looking crazy.
I get it. Right. Of course. Yeah, I get it. Okay. Well, look, I get it. So whatever gets you up and moving, and get the blood circulating and everything, that's great. A hike is a great way to do that. Hike is
Hmm.
a great way to do that. So let's start. Let's talk. Um, I ask all of our guests when they come on is to tell me your origin story. If someone was to ask you about your beginnings and any of those particulars, how would you write that?
Oof. um, my beginnings. I was a very shy girl. Like when I was with my family, I was talking. I was, just that regular cool, close girl. Just didn't really, my dad was really hard, not hard, but it was really like education is key
Mhm.
to sports. I didn't really do much. I was always the person that it was in the background. But
Mhm.
life has a way of showing you who you really are,
Mhm.
even when you don't want that to be happening.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I was quiet, but now I'm pretty much more vocal. I'm doing more things.
Mhm.
So it's been a journey.
So I think it's interesting. Like, so siblings, are you an only child or are you one of two, one of three, one of four?
I have a sister. We're 50 months apart.
You
Uh,
have a sister and you all are 15 months apart.
hmm
I
People,
like it. Way to go,
people,
Dad.
right, right. Jamaican. Okay. So
Shout out to Pops. Just, Okay. Yeah. Are you the oldest?
I am.
Okay, cool. Cool, 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 cool. Yeah, I think I said this the other week. I have a lot of more Jamaican friends in my life nowadays,
because we're
and
the best.
of course you are. Um, what was it growing up in the Americas in America and of Jamaican descent, and what was your religious upbringing like?
Um, Always Christian. My parents,
What does that mean, though? You have to define that.
so
What?
I pretty much born and raised Pentecostal Apostolic, PAW.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was an
Jesus only saints.
that's it. My dad, listen, you're gonna get me in trouble with these people. My my dad was an usher and a deacon. My mom was in the choir.
Mhm,
So we pretty much all our lives, all we know is God is God. And
mhm,
go to church. We were
mhm,
in church, Bible study, choir
mhm,
rehearsal, just
mhm,
everything.
mhm,
So my dad's Jamaican, my mom's American.
mhm,
So with the Jamaican father, was still like church was a very big part of our lives. But education was like extremely important. He was not like A's and B's was it. C's, we don't tolerate that.
mhm.
So education and sports was my thing from the time I could not the time I could maybe like a teenager to in my 20s.
Mhm.
So that was my thing.
So you played sports?
I did cheerleading in elementary school. After that, I did soccer most of my life. That's like my
Okay.
absolute favorite sport.
Okay.
I did track for a little bit. Uh,
Mhm,
mm, Not
mhm.
my cup of
Yeah.
tea so much.
Do you still watch at least watch soccer? Are you a
I
big
do.
soccer fan?
I do.
Okay. That's cool. And that's interesting because I grew up Kojic, and so sports was frowned upon. Um, because you had to wear shorts, and that was too showing too much flesh. So, no, I went to a private Christian high school that was Kojic based,
Oh, okay.
and we could not, boys could not, we couldn't have gym with the girls. It was separated. Um, Girls couldn't, they could not wear pants, and the only way they could wear shorts in gym was to put their skirt over it. You know how
Mhm.
that kind of thing. So it was a very strict um, upbringing, which was very different because the environment wasn't rigorous academically, um, but it was heavy on our religion. We were all a bunch of church kids together, basically, and that's going to be problematic on so many different levels. It was very interesting. It was a very, very, very interesting upbringing. But your dad stressed academics for you.
Mhm.
How did that shape you as a young adult?
At first I was just like, "Oh God, like Dad, why are you making me do this? This is too much. This is just I just want to have fun with my friends. I just
Mhm,
want to, enjoy life." But it's like the older I got, I was like, "Wow, thanks, Dad. Like what you like pushed me to do and I didn't want to do actually was beneficial.
mhm,
It really did help me in life."
mhm. Um, so your parents on one hand, and it sounds like for you was our upbringing was the same because church was on a continuous loop, right? Um, we went to church where when there wasn't church happening, we went to church to hang out. Like all of our friends was there, and
Mhm.
I usually say that I thought school was something you did in between going to church. Like it felt like we would have church and then we'd have school and then they drop us off at church, and then once we leave church we go back to school, and it was just that space to do that. um and we both your independent holiness movement and ours was too. How did the church shape your your upbringing?
So, um, I grew up PAW.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my parents got divorced when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
So they did it. I think when we turned teenagers, they did a thing where my sister and I had to switch every other weekend.
Mm-hmm.
When my parents split, my dad stayed at my home church, and my mom went to Prayer Tabernacle, now known as Cathedral of the Holy Spirit. So they were, both still Pentecostal,
Mm-hmm.
but with PAW, you can't wear no makeup, you can't wear no pants, you can't have no red lipstick, you can't cut
Mm-hmm.
your hair, none of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Bishop Moles, they don't prefer you wear pants, but if you wore pants, you had to wear a long top to cover your bottom. You could
Mm-hmm.
not have the tight pants on being out there and exposed. I my part of my life story. At the age of 13, I actually got molested
Mm-hmm.
by a choir director at my home church.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I it was bad because people were saying things like, "Oh, well, they shouldn't have did this," and I'm like, "I'm 13. I don't even boys are not even my attention at the time because I'm so focused on school."
Mm-hmm.
So I left and started going to church with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Within that time frame, like I knew church, but I didn't know church. If you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew the everyday protocols, what to do. Tuesday we have Bible study, Wednesday we have church, Friday we got choir rehearsal. But I just was like, okay, like why is this happening to me? Like I don't even bother anybody. I'm just minding my business, singing in the church choir.
Mm-hmm.
Not till I got, I think, like I always knew church, always knew, order everything. But I think when my daughter's father died, was in 2008 was when I really had like a big turn, like, okay, I really need to like get myself together because I was so angry and I just like completely was dismissive of God and turned my ear off completely. Was like, I don't want to hear nothing that you got to say.
Mm-hmm.
We do X, Y, and Z from
Mm-hmm.
13 to 20. And since then, it's like now I've had to open up my ear where I'm at right now, 34. I had to open up my ear and be like, okay, I gotta. This is what church is. It's not more so the building. It's not more so the people are trying to the church people, but it's like the church is your relationship with God. That's how I took it as
Mm-hmm.
because everything that I've seen happen at the church opening that was done, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to. I don't want to do this. Like I don't want to do this. This is stupid. This
Yeah.
is foolish.
Yeah. Um, and we don't have to dwell on it and dig too deep in it, and I want to be sensitive to that. But did you get the support that you felt like you needed early on?
From that situation.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
From my parents, absolutely. Like, one thing about my dad, he does not play about his girls. My
Mm-hmm.
dad will move heaven, earth, and hell for us. He does not
Mm-hmm.
like, my dad was like, no. Other than
Mm-hmm.
that, besides the group of girls that it happened to, no.
I had an experience um, when I was younger, um, about the same age. We were in church, and it came out eventually that my then pastor had inappropriate relationship with some of the youth, the young girls. Um, and I remember being very disoriented during that time because a lot of adults look past that behavior. Um, you know, some supported it and covered it, um, and their silence kind of gave consent that this was okay, and that there was something in me that knew it was wrong, and I felt powerless to do anything. Like, I'm a kid, so if I go tell my dad, "Hey, I think pastor is involved with a friend of mine. Um, I'm not sure how I would have been heard. And so I just shut my mouth to it. And I think for years I carried some guilt because I felt like I should have said, I should have said something. I should have um, been more supportive. And then I got disenchanted with church, right? So I was like, I don't want to go to like I don't want to go to church. I don't want to be here anymore. Luckily for me, it was the same time the Bulls had won their first championship, so it was a great time to stay home on Sunday Sundays because games come on about noon. So it was a great time to be out of church. But what I remember about my parents, and I give them all the credit in the world, they didn't force me to go back to church. They kind of let me process it the way I needed to process. And I was singing with um, a children's choir, a gospel community choir that was for kids. And so that was basically my community. I still had community, but I was very disenchanted with church. And it took me a long time to kind of be able to parse and separate church from the pastor because
Mhm.
he was like God to me then. I was young. But it really helped. I had to do some work to kind of separate this idea that people are people, but they still do some horrible things, and they should be held accountable for the horrible things they do, even if they got some title in front of their name. I'm wondering, how did that change your ultimate perception of the church itself, and how did you stitch yourself back to even have a further relationship with God and the church?
So with that situation that happened, um, it was very hard. Even to this day, I have a very hard time trusting men.
Hmm.
One of my if people see me, if I'm talking to a guy and they see me go like this a lot, or they're just I'm like, oh ha ha ha, like that's pretty much like my nervous reaction saying, hey, help, I get me out of here. I want to do this.
Hmm.
So now and people laugh at me all the time because they're like, "Oh, you don't know what's going on?" No, I don't, because I'm at the point where I don't want no drama. I don't like drama. I don't like confrontation. So
Hmm.
I've learned to separate myself from. I mean, people are taking the wrong way, but I'm gonna be honest. I separate myself from the titles. So I don't have a title at my church. So I know
Hmm.
there are titles, and I'm just like, okay, my main end goal is to make it to heaven, is to do, God pleasing work on earth. So I'm not, I listen to what you're saying, and I'm
Hmm.
very appreciative of the way you're preaching and breaking down the word. But at the end of the day, like stuff that I went through, I made it out because I prayed.
Hmm.
So I have that relationship with God where I know, like, I can talk to him without trying to be the, "Ooh, he done my shit," all of that. I don't need to do all that. I can just talk to God and just talk to him.
Hmm.
But even with that situation that happened, I'm still uncomfortable talking to guys, even though, like, if I've known them for a long time, or if I've, been under the ministry for a while, it's just like that one incident messed it up for me
Hmm.
with any person in the church. Because now it's like, oh, because like you said, people do stuff in the church and people don't hold them accountable because of titles or whatever.
Hmm.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
That's not okay. No matter who the child is, no matter who the person is,
Hmm.
you gotta hold the people accountable.
Yeah. Um, so let me ask you this. I'm really interested in how we first identify love. So my question is, who was the first person, or where did you learn your first ideas about what love is, and who gave you language um, to verbalize your love?
Well, growing up in a household before my parents got divorced, even now, we've always said to our parents, I've always
Mhm.
said that I love you. They'll say
Mhm.
to me, "I love you too." So that's not even a strange language at all because we've
Mhm.
always expressed how much we love each other and how much
Mhm.
we care for each other. Um, that's actually a really good question. I honestly don't know.
Mhm.
I've been only in like 4 serious relationships,
Mhm.
and, the one that really broke me really, really bad
Mhm.
was, my daughter's father.
Mhm.
We, um love for me is trust, compassion, feeling secure, being able to feel like yourself,
Mhm.
like, just pretty much letting your hair down completely
Mhm.
without feeling judged. Biggest thing is feeling safe, and that's how I was with him. I felt completely secure, like, I was safe. Even though I was 19 what was that, 20, he was 19, I felt absolutely safe. Like,
Mhm.
I felt like I could be myself, I could be goofy, laughing, joking, just fine, and after he died, it was almost as if I was trying to find a similar love like that, and I know I shouldn't, 'cause there'll never
Mhm.
be another one, but it's hard because people now are just or not now, but just coming to light, they're really wicked and twisted and just
Mhm.
I have a wall up because
Mhm.
it's like, I don't wanna get hurt, or I don't wanna my fear is to love someone again that hard and something
Mhm.
happen to them. 'Cause, like, I can't do it again. I mentally cannot do that again. That was, like, the longest 13 years of my life.
Mhm.
I can't do that again. So I wanna love, but I'm scared to love.
Mhm. Um, Tell me about that love story.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, um, I went to a school called Hamden High, and
Mhm.
he went to a school called Cross. We met at a basketball game at my school. I was 18, he was 17 at the time,
Mhm.
and I was hanging with my friends, was not paying that man any type of mind. He told a mutual friend of ours, like, "Who was that? Like, she's really, really pretty. I wanna get to know her." And I'm just like, "No, I don't have time for boys. I gotta get these grades up. We gonna finish my season at track. I gotta get it together."
Mhm.
Eventually, gave him my number. We were texting and talking, and then I was like, "Oh, this is really, really nice." Like, not putting on a front, not trying to what he wants is trying to get. Um, Fast forward, we got, like, my best friend. We talked every single day. We were
Mhm.
always together. Um, I'm trying to think, like, we were always together. We did everything together. And July 29th, 2008
Mhm.
was well, actually, let me backtrack. We were in love, young in love. The first thing was, "Let's have a baby." I was not thinking. I'm just like, "I just love this man so much. I just wanna be with him for my life." Was not thinking. Mind you, being a church girl, knowing if I get pregnant, my parents are going to kill me.
Mhm.
This is not okay.
Mhm.
Got pregnant June 17th, found out I was 2 months pregnant, didn't even know. So yeah, June 17th, 2008.
So
July
you hold on. Did you got pregnant on purpose because that's what he wanted,
I did.
or you
I did.
did?
I
You
did.
did. You
You
did.
you
I like it. I know. I like.
I'm just being honest. I
You
got
were in it. I like the commitment. That
I was like, we gonna do this." But
I appreciate that.
no, yes, so I, took a test and June 17th,
Mhm.
2008, I was like, "Oh, shoot,
Mhm. Mhm.
I am pregnant."
Mhm.
The doctor's like, "Oh, yeah, you're 2 months." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Mhm.
Look, Patrick, I promise you,
Mhm.
I cried. I looked at the test, pinched myself. I went in the bathroom, looked at the test, pinched myself,
Mhm.
and was like, My mother's gonna kill me. Oh my god." I'm like, "I want my grandma. Where's my grandma? I can't do this." Him, not church, nothing.
Mhm.
"Yes, yes, you're pregnant. I can't believe this. I'm so excited." I'm like, "Yo, like,
Mhm.
I'm having a baby out of wedlock. Like,
Mhm.
this we're not married. This is not I wasn't raised like this. This is not okay."
Mhm.
July 29th, 2008, I had like a little stomach bug, and mind you, I took we together every day. I had a
Mhm.
stomach bug, He's like, no, stay home. You and the baby come over tomorrow. We'll hang out. I mean, I'll cook you something, make sure you're good. I'm like, all right, cool. I get a phone call from a young lady who was running around telling people that she was with my daughter's father. Calls me and says to me, oh, because his name was Brendan. Brendan's dead. I said, excuse me? Like, I just texted him. We just was talking. Oh, he's dead. He got struck by a train. I'm like, you do realize that I'm pregnant. Like, are you trying to make me have a miscarriage? I called his parents, his mom. I called his uncles. And they're like, no, no, no. I called his best friend. His best friend was like, no. They said it was a woman. It was him. 2:30. The last thing we ever said to each other was, I love you, and I'm glad we're having this baby together. That's the last thing I ever said to him. And he said that back to me, I love you, and I'm glad we're having this baby together as well. He got hit so bad. The impact, he was really, really skinny. The impact of his chest went up, and he thought it was a woman because it looked like he had boobs because he got hit so bad. The train was going 150 miles an hour. So where he was living, there was a train track. It was abandoned. There was no trains. The kids in the town would cross that train track to get to the other side of the town. Just so happened that day, a train came. People were making all these speculations. Oh, it was suicide because they were having a baby so young. I'm like, do y'all realize like this baby was planned? Like he wanted her. He wanted a baby. And it was bad because his foot got caught. He had sneakers on. I don't think I have it anymore, but it was a sneaker. Like the inside of it was some Jordans because he was a big Jordan fanatic. The inside of it was, you could tell it was like tore. It was ripped up. So he was trying to move, but his foot got caught and he died like instantly. So that was like, yeah, that was
a little bit, yeah.
that was
Yeah.
that was my high school sweetheart.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's
Okay.
that's horrible in every way imaginable. Um, how did you get through the pregnancy? And what was that like grieving? So on one hand, you're grieving the loss, and then on the other hand, you're celebrating this precious new life. And so I think you would be vacillating between one and the other. Was it that way for you, or were you able to just kind of focus?
I cried my whole
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't eating. I lost weight. One of my aunts is a midwife. She before she moved down south, she used to come up to see me all the time, like, you need to drink water. Like, you're not drinking enough water. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. I I couldn't grieve. I couldn't grieve.
Mm-hmm.
I could not grieve because I had to be a mom quickly.
Right.
So I never had a chance to grieve. So so when it all happened, I didn't know what to do. I just was in shock. I was like, wait, what? Like, that's stuff you hear in the movies. Like, that's not stuff that you would ever live it. So I'm just like, and that's when I got really angry with God. I said, why would you do this to me? I have not done anything. I'm just a kid in church. I've been molested. Now you got me out here with this. I don't steal. I haven't killed anybody. I haven't done anything. I've honored my mom and my dad. So I'm like, why are you doing this to me? Like, I can't take this. It was bad. Like, even now, I'm grieving better than I was, but I could not grieve at all because I had to make sure she got here. And then on top of that, with her trying to get here, our contractions were coming a little too quick. And doctors were saying every time I had a contraction, she was losing oxygen. So I said, Lord, if you don't do nothing else, you got to keep her. Because if I lose her, you're going to have to lock me up. Put me in a padded room. I'm going to lose it. So thank the Lord. They were saying she's not going to be able to hear. She's not going to be able to swallow. She's going to have difficulties. but she's perfectly fine. She's amazing. She's
Yeah.
like that's I love that little girl. Not besides
Mhm.
the fact that that's the only thing left of her father, but because she's just a great kid.
Yeah.
But I never really got to properly. You know how they have the steps to grieving?
Mhm.
I think it's 7 steps. I think I've only done maybe 3, if not
Mhm.
4,
Mhm.
because I had to be like, okay, you know what? He died. I gotta get over it. I gotta move on. I gotta get raise this baby by myself. Granted,
Mhm.
I have an amazing village,
Mhm.
but it's not the same when it's a parent.
Right.
So now it's like, all right,
Do you think these experiences are what God did to you? Like the boyfriend passes away. God, why are you doing this to me? Do you still feel that way?
I'm not gonna lie, I do question him. I'm like, okay, like
Mhm.
I don't understand. 13 years later, I still don't understand. Why am I raising this child by myself? Like granted, I want to get married. I don't want to rush. I want to be married and do it right. But
Mhm.
it's like, God, why,
Mhm.
why? But I've gotten to the place where I've like now, like, okay, I'm trusting you. And nothing
Mhm.
he said is, even in this, I trust you.
Mhm.
Do not understand, but I'm trusting you. I don't blame him as much as I did before.
Mhm.
Now it's just like, God, you gotta show me what the purpose is. Like
Mhm.
I am in pain. Is
Mhm.
this pain leading me to my purpose? Is it leading
Mhm.
me to my promise? Like I don't get it. So even
Mhm.
me questioning, I'm still trusting him. I'm still, walking in what I need to walk in to get to my promise.
So I would imagine that love for you is at least uneasy if it's if if it's complicated, right? That if I love, will they go away? Do they stay? Given that life is unpredictable, right? And that um, we fear or have anxiety mostly over things we can't control,
Hmm.
right? And so, um, love is a very vulnerable environment, right? Because you don't control all the factors, how somebody responds to you. You can't keep people alive that you love, that you want to keep them alive. And it would seem to me after all of our histories, right?
Hmm.
Yours, mine, everybody else. Like love is a very, very uneasy environment, and because it is not predictable and we can't control it, we stay out of it, or sabotage relationships, or we just go it alone, and say, I'm gonna, just put my head down, do life, and I'm not trying to love. But there's that little part of us that I don't care how broken we are and how devastated we are and shattered we are, there's always that little part of us that recovers before
Hmm.
the rest of us that says, oh, I would really like love. I want to know what that is. I want to feel what that is again. Do you find yourself in tension with love like
Yeah.
that?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like I watch movies and stuff. Like I won't say I'm a hopeless romantic, but I love romance. Like I watch stuff and like if not like something on Instagram or movies and see something, I'm just like, this is what I want. But I his death caused me to have abandonment issues.
Mm-hmm.
So with him just up and dying, it's like, oh shoot, like I was giving my all and now you're gone, and I'm like, ooh, I don't want to feel that again.
Mm-hmm.
Which is goes hand in hand with me putting my wall up
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I've been there. It is a
Mm-hmm.
very painful thing, and I don't want to live that again
Right.
because then it hurts. Because then at the end of the day, I was questioning, not even with her father dying, but my most recent relationship that I was in, I just was questioning myself. because he left me. So I'm just like, well, dang, like, am
Mhm.
I a bad person? Like,
Mhm.
what's wrong with me? Like, why does it seem like everybody's leaving me?
Mhm.
So, you know what? Because I don't want to feel that hurt again, I don't want to feel that abandonment again.
Mhm.
I'm just going to chill. I'm a chill. I
Mhm.
want it. I have a whole wedding planned on my phone. I have it in my notes, like who's my bridesmaid and everything. I don't even talk this to my mom about this. I have a whole vision board.
Mhm. Right, I believe it.
I just I'm just like,
Mhm.
dang, like
Mhm.
I do want it, but
Mhm.
at the back of my mind, I'm just like, something's gonna go wrong. They're gonna mess
Yeah.
up. I'm gonna have to be going crazy and be like, yo, you hurt me. Like when I've trusted you, when I've
Mhm.
like my ego is like high right now
Mhm. Mhm.
to the point where people are like, oh, you mean? I'm like, I'm not mean. I'm just guarded because I don't have time for foolishness.
Right.
I can't do it again. I can't deal with that.
I get it. No, no, no. I get it. What helped me is that I had to come to the conclusion that safety itself is an illusion, right? There's no safety in the world. Um, there's no safety in our relationships, right? Like a couple of weeks ago, some parents sent their kids off to school in Texas thinking that they were safe, right? And all of that was shattered. And even when we get in relationships and the best of our relationships, like when it's great and when it's good, that doesn't mean that it's safe, right? And so I had to realize, because love is scary, because it is unpredictable and it's not safe. One day, and this is an honest to God story. I was watching something on OWN. I don't watch OWN anymore, but I used to watch OWN, and watching the master class with Maya Angelou, right? And she says um, that the highest virtue is not love itself; it's courage.
Mm,
Because without courage, we can never love consistently, right? And I realized in that moment that what has kept me out of love since my divorce was fear,
mhm,
right? Um, and so it wasn't that I couldn't love somebody and somebody didn't have the capacity to love me. I always feared if they would change their mind or if they would go away from me, coupled along with the fact that along the lines I had people who I love died and I couldn't hold on to them. And all of this is real scary. And it feels life right now, I'm sure for a lot of people feels very unsafe and unstable. And yet the reason we get out of bed and we do whatever we need to do, the reason you raise kids or we go to church after a pandemic and all the like, is not just love, but it is courage. And if we don't master our ability to be courageous about this thing, I have a friend who pulled up stakes and says, I'm going to quit everything here, sell my home. I'm going to go pursue my dream. And he did it, and he's amazing. He's doing it. And he met someone, and they were dating, and he was like having this conversation we're having right now. Oh, it's a little scary, and I don't know, and I don't trust, and I don't do it. I said it's amazing how you could be courageous about your job, but when it comes to love, it's like I can't do this. Like it was easier to to
I
sell a
can't.
house. It was easier to sell a house. It was either to move across the country than to have somebody in your face and for them to say that I love you and you can't engage and say it back. And what I said to him was, be courageous about this because this is what matters. If you get the big house, if you get the career, if you get everything and you don't have this, you're going to be just as unhappy, right? Because happiness doesn't come from the things we acquire, it comes through our connections with one another. And if you deny yourself that, yes, it's scary. Of course it is. Absolutely.
How can you be courageous when in the back of your mind you have that fear?
Because what I tell my friends and I tell the church, fear will always talk you out of what you say you want the most.
Mhm.
Whatever it is you say, fear will always talk you out of it. Whether it's the promotion, whether it's going after the house, whether it's the career, whether it's having love, fear will always talk you out of it. It will rob you of opportunities you say you want. So, what you have to do is be scared and do it anyway. And even if it fails, don't let fear rob you of a beautiful opportunity. Nobody has forever, right? I
Right.
know we want, that's what Disney taught us, forever after. Nobody gets forever after. Nobody has gotten forever after. We get what we get.
Mhm.
We can have it today, and hopefully we'll have it tomorrow. Hopefully we can work it out to have it next week, but we don't get forever. But when you have it, you have it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is the most important thing. And so I think and I agree with my Angelou that it's really courage. That if we can be courageous, we can love. And yes, they might leave you. Yes, they will die on you. Yes, they will change their mind. Okay. And you're gonna wake up the next morning and you're gonna breathe and you may cry, but you'll put your clothes on and go to work and do what you need to do. And you're gonna keep doing that. So if you're gonna keep waking up every day until you don't, until you don't wake up every day, you might as well try.
So that is what I'm doing, like, slowly. I will say that I am trying slowly. I haven't completely given up on love or haven't completely let fear overtake what I know my heart desires.
Mhm.
But it's it's a process. Like I'm trying. Like the fact
We
that
all are.
every single day.
We absolutely we all. Yeah, we all try. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I'm even willing to date somebody else. I'm even willing to be like, "Hey, let's talk." Because before I'd be like, no, I'm good. Like, how you doing? God bless you, type of thing.
Right. Right. But you're one of those people. One of those
Oh,
girls.
wait a minute, wait, backtrack, rewind the tape. What does that mean? What does that mean? Why that?
No, the real, it could be a guy who's genuinely interested in you, but for whatever mood you could be in at any moment or whatever, you just kind of curve, somebody for no good reason,
I mean,
just
it's no
because.
judge. I'm like, okay, you're really like, I I understand that. Oh, you're beautiful. Thank you so much. But when it's like, oh, I really want to take you out. But the kicker is
Hmm,
when you start throwing in my daughter and you've never even met her,
hmm,
be
hmm.
there for you. I can help take care of your daughter. Eh, wrong answer.
Yeah, it's a little aggressive.
Yeah. And you know what? And I get that. I get that. Especially in my Instagram DMs. I get that. I'm not.
It's a little aggressive. I get it. It's a little creepy. I get that. I get it. That's fair. That's. I'm curious because you had this wonderful love in your life. And here's another way to help with all of our grief. I was at a friend's memorial the other week, and he passed away, and we were just a year or two apart, and it was real sudden, and it was, yeah. I've had a couple of those this year, and I was at the memorial, and I said we could spend the rest of our life being angry because they're not here anymore, and that takes a lot of energy. To be sad every day and to be angry and to be resentful at life and God and whoever else we want to blame for that. Or we could spend the rest of our days being grateful that we had him as long as we did have him, right? And to think about him and how much of a wonderful person he was, and every single day smile and be grateful that we got a chance to know him when there's so many other people who didn't have a friend like that. I've tried to apply that to my relationships,
Mhm.
right? To my loved ones who passed away. I know what it is to be angry, resentful, and to be even hateful toward God and resentful of his church. Right? I totally get that. That took a lot of energy though. Because it's just I so what I've said to myself, instead of mourning my loved ones who passed away, or mourning some love in my life that didn't last, that I feel like should have, what I can do is be grateful that I had love during that time at all, right? Because there were so many people during that time didn't have as much as I had. And our human impulse is whatever we love and we're attached to, we want to keep it. Like
Right.
a kid with a blanket,
Mhm.
or a
Yeah.
pacifier. It's mine. I want it. I want to have it. Um, and that's what love does. It begs for nearness. We want to keep who we love close to us. And when that's not possible, because nobody gets that, you're not cheated out of that as if you're the only one who's ever experienced that. I'm a pastor, and I've been in situations where the groom died on the way to the wedding,
Jesus.
and we had to go in and tell this bride who was in her dress, he's gone, right? And so I think I've observed life to see life and love and grief in a lot of different complicated contexts, to know that our grief isn't alone, that when we lose, at least there's a community that understands our grief. And it helps us to be more compassionate and to be more loving to other people who've experienced the same thing.
Yep.
And so I think there's a way that we can look at our losses and reframe them in a way that has virtue to it. I know parents, mothers who've lost children, a miscarriage, or um, sudden, it's sudden infant crib death.
Son,
I mean,
son and
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then, devastated and all. And yet, even with that, we are allowed, at least momentarily, to love, to care, to share, to give the best part of ourselves.
Mhm.
And you still have that. I still have that. Those who are listening, you still have that. And so I think that we can reframe our losses, that they're not punitive to our souls and our spirit, but they actually can benefit. Because I would dare say, perhaps after your love passed away, you were comparing. Did you compare someone else to him, and what this feels like and this doesn't feel like?
Yep. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
He's nothing like Brendan, and da 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 da."
Mhm,
Like, and I had to sit back and be like, "That's not fair to him
mhm.
because he, 1, never met him, 2, can't feel how I'm feeling, and that's not fair to do this to this person, and I never gave him a chance
Right.
to, like, love me the
Mhm,
way that I should be loved."
mhm. Um, I'm interested in how we open ourselves up to love, right? Do If you've had feelings for someone, or even with Brandon, what causes you to feel safe enough to open your heart up to somebody, um, and say, I'm willing to try this, to see where this goes.
Discernment, and I mean, that was very churchy, but it's
Very PAW. I like it though.
but it's more so like if I'm getting church discernment, world vibes.
Mhm,
I'm not
mhm,
getting good vibes from you.
mhm.
Like
You
some
Jamaican. That's your Jamaican coming
that's
out. I mean, Mix the Holy Ghost with it. Yeah, I get.
If I don't like, if your vibes is on,
Mhm,
I'm not gonna be rude. I still speak to you. But if you start getting aggressive, then the Jamaican side's gonna come out and be like, "Yo,
mhm, mhm,
you gotta get out. I'm a
mhm,
black, or I'm gonna tell you off, and it's not gonna be a Christian
mhm,
tell off. Like,
mhm,
what's up? Get away
mhm,
from it. Stop it."
mhm,
But I'm really big on like feeling people out. Just like, something about you don't seem right. And usually 9 out of 10 when I feel that about somebody, I'm usually right.
mhm.
And I hate it that I'm right, but it's like, yeah, I'm not. I don't like to be forced to do anything.
Sure.
I'm all for having conversations, but don't force me to like you. Don't force me to try to get to know you. If I don't want to, please
Mhm.
respect that and just please let me be.
That's no, that's fair. And I'm interested in how you are perceiving the world right now. Yesterday the Supreme Court struck down Roe versus Wade, um, and a lot of women are feeling very vulnerable about um, the inability that they have within their government, within their country, to make autonomous decisions about their body. And I know it's complicated, and I know perhaps maybe you've thought about it, maybe you haven't, but kind of in the aftermath, have you had any thoughts about that?
Um, so my personal opinion, I am against abortion.
Hmm.
I'm I don't condone killing. I don't like that. But I'm never going to sit here and tell somebody else how to deal with their body.
Hmm.
If that's the choice you wanna make, that is the choice you wanna make. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not like, I've seen people post about it and like, "Oh, it's a" think somebody reposted a post that said, "Thank God" think something about "Thank God" or "Thank God for the church" or something, and I'm like, first of all, let's stop making the church as this sacred place when it's not. Let's just be real. So, I think it's wrong. Like, how can you tell a woman what to do? Like, what if she is capable of getting pregnant, but by her being pregnant, she has a medical condition that could kill her, or
Hmm.
there's something that's so wrong that would mess up her body if she has a baby?
Hmm.
Like, who are we to tell people how to live their lives? Who are we to tell people what to do with their bodies?
Hmm.
That's the case, then tell crackheads stop doing crack. Tell them stop shooting up. If that's what you wanna tell people how to run their lives, like, we're not robots. We
Hmm.
have free will to do what we wanna do.
Hmm.
I don't think they shoulda did that. I mean, if you're gonna I don't think it should be done. Like, to speak for the whole United States,
Hmm.
I don't it's not I told my mom, "It's not gonna end well. This is not gonna end well."
Yeah, and I think I resolved myself at this point that I think that men need to be quiet about this right now. Um, like, I went to bed last night and I thought about it all day, and I have nieces and I have um, a goddaughter, and I want them to live in a world where they can make their choices about their bodies and their own health care, however they need to.
Mhm,
And I went to bed last night not feeling threatened at all because I'm a man, right? And if men could get pregnant, we have abortions with some Arizona tea. You could buy one Arizona tea and get an abortion at the same time. Um, because we would make those allowances for men that we don't make for women, right? And so I think that since we don't have to make these choices, number one, I think we should listen to women in our lives and ask a lot of questions and find out what they're thinking about it. Not as if all women think the same about it. Is that that's not true anyway? And to your point, when you bring up the church, my second question is, well, what does that mean and which church are you talking about? There's some idea that the church is one body, perhaps, who thinks the same way about these things.
Mhm.
or our concept of Jesus just because we are in America is the same, and it is absolutely not.
Mm,
And so it's like, well, this is a victory for the church. No, I don't feel victorious at all. I So it just depends on whatever context you're talking about church. So I think that's ridiculous. I think men need to be quiet. I think we need to listen more. And I appreciate how complicated these issues are for just the reasons you just said, right? Whether it can harm her health, whether it's through some violation of rape or incest or however. I think that there is a way that we can be pro-choice and for life.
mhm,
But I do recognize that these things that are happening not necessarily affect me, but affect people I love, and so I care deeply um, about these things. But there's another point to that is that now all the white women protesting and got signs and on a bullhorn and talking about the government oppressing them, and I marched. Black Lives Matter. I went to Ferguson um, when we were protesting the systemic racism that were killing not a fetus, not something that was hadn't even been born yet. We were talking about killing of black lives.
mhm,
Those same women where they weren't there. They was like, yeah, y'all work that out. Whatever happens, happens. Like they were ambivalent about it. And there's a part of me that is just a little bit ambivalent too. It's like, well, y'all go ahead and work that out. Because when we were telling y'all about our government is oppressing us on a myriad of different levels, you all stayed out of it. And now the white women who I didn't want Hillary to be president. I just couldn't trust her. She was going to overturn democracy. And you all stayed at home and Donald Trump won and elections have consequences. So y'all fix it and work it out, right? And so there's this tension that I'm wrestling with, and I'm not finished with it yet about how to care, and yet there's a part of me that only cares to the extent to the women that I love, and I care about their well-being. But all of that tertiary, white woman rage about the government, I'm like, okay, you know. I'm wondering, you being in Connecticut, and in that environment, which is a very political charged environment, what is that like being black there? What is it like being a black woman there? And during this time, what are you thinking about all of that?
hmm. Being a Black woman in Connecticut.
Jamaican.
Right. Um, it I can't speak for everybody, but for me, I can say it's a little nerve-wracking,
Mhm,
um, because it's just, like, with everything that's going on in the world and pretty much every single state has been hit with it or have some experience with it or talking about it, it's like, "Okay, I gotta I'm driving. I just if I see a cop, don't freeze up. Don't get scared. Do everything all your paperwork's in order, your license is suspended,
mhm,
everything's fine." But it's also, as Black women, when we talk, or even Black people in general, we talk, we're very passionate about what we say. And it comes off as, "Oh, you're being aggressive," or "I feel threatened." Like, excuse me?
mhm, mhm,
Because I'm expressing to you how I feel without swearing at you. And me being loud is not trying to overpower you or anything. This is just that's just me.
mhm,
I don't like you were saying before how the white women are like, "Oh, this isn't fair about everything else." It's almost like that in Connecticut.
mhm,
It's like I will all do the same thing, but because I'm of this superior race, woe is me. This should be going for me. But even though you're a woman, just because you have a different skin tone, it's almost like, okay, nah, it happened, but it's not as important. Like your voice won't be as heard as a white woman's.
mhm.
So I mean, even though Connecticut is a woman's state, I honestly feel like a white woman's voice would be heard more
Mm,
than a black woman. Even if it's the same issue, the same topic of discussion,
mm-hmm,
will respect a white woman more than they will a black woman. A black woman has to work 10 times harder to be in any type of office.
mm-hmm,
Because if they're in office and they're doing by the book what they're supposed to do, chatter in the back, I heard to get that. They're not that educated. They're not this. I am. You don't
mm-hmm,
ask my career. You automatically assume because I'm black
mm-hmm,
and my lingo is a little different than yours. You're assuming that I'm not qualified. I'm not educated. When I'm
mm-hmm.
actually qualified than you'll ever be.
Hmm. Right. Um, what was it like being a young black woman, single, pregnant, a part of the PAW church?
Um, it wasn't. It actually wasn't really that bad
Mm-hmm.
because usually when you get baby out of wedlock, they just like it's pretty much like you might as well wear a scarlet letter.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well just stone you to death. But it really wasn't. And I think it's more so my mom and my dad really covered me. My dad's on church, my mom's more so like more spiritual than my dad is. And I think it's just they're covering. And
Mm-hmm.
if people did talk about it, I didn't hear much chatter from the
Mm-hmm.
church. It was more so, oh my God, like this, I can't believe this happened to her. This is such a traumatic situation. Like we got to keep her in prayer. She knows her mind. She don't try to commit suicide. None of that. But one thing I will say, my mom was so embarrassed by it. Bishop Moles, the day Brendan died, Bishop Moles called me. Well,
Mm-hmm.
on my mom's phone, and I talked to him on my mom's phone. He's like, if there's anything that you need, if you want to use the church for the funeral, if you need flowers, you call me and let me know. Because when I found I was pregnant, I had talked to him and said, Bishop, I was at the choir at the time. I said, Bishop, I'm pregnant. Oh, is he a musician? I got to sit both of you down. I said, no, sir, he doesn't go to church. And mind you, if anybody knows Bishop Moses, like, who Bishop talking to me like I'm nervous. I'm just like, okay, like what's happening? Kind, gentle man, and just was like, you know what, you have to be sat down. And when the baby's born, you just talk to my daughter, and then you can get reinstated, but with this pregnancy, you got to be sat down. That was it. The day
Mm-hmm.
I went in, I had emergency C-section. The day I went in, Wednesday night service, Bishop to the church. Mom's name is last name is Pullen. So like Pullen's daughter in prayer, going in for surgery. She's gonna have the baby. The dad had the baby. It was another one
Mm-hmm.
from the pulpit. He says, Sister Pullen had her baby. The baby is here. My mom's like, oh God, Jesus! Like my daughter had a baby. Why is he praising? It's like, what is he doing? So that part, I felt loved. I felt okay. I felt like I know this is wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't chastise for it. Like the leader of this house is like praying for me, is protecting me. It's like this is what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Not like throwing scriptures at me and saying these horrible things. Like he was really kind.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, I was like, wow. Like, and I've had friends that have been in church, and I've heard their stories, and I'm like, ooh, I didn't go through that. I'm very sorry that you did.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that experience. And of course, my mom cried because she just was like, this is not how I raised you. Other than that, throughout my whole pregnancy, besides my own personal grief and everything, people
Mm-hmm.
in church were actually really very kind. They're very kind to me.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback on. I knew Bishop Mose. Um, I first knew him before he pastored as a gospel artist, um, and then he pastored, and then he became bishop and had a reformation. He was a very kind man,
Because he was.
really spiritual, um, real saved. Um, and yet was able to balance that kind of religion that we were brought up in with some compassion. And
Mhm.
he was a pastor, right? He literally pastored people, and he was very rare. And so that testimony of him like doesn't shock me at all. He was kind and compassionate, very gentle. And I'm glad you had that for yourself because, like you said, there's so many other women who went through the same thing, maybe by the hands of the pastor or somebody in leadership, and they got tossed out.
Mm-hmm.
And it just wasn't a very kind environment for them to be in. And so God bless his memory, Bishop Kenneth Mose Sr. I'm going to let you go. I want to talk about your business and what you do. But before we do that, so I do with everybody before they leave. I do like a 5 quick questions, lightning round questions or whatever.
All right.
Yeah, no, you
All right. Okay.
you're good. You can do this. It's all good. You can handle it. It's fine. It's fine. I know you got it. You ready?
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Um, do you believe in love at first sight?
No.
Um, what has love taught you?
To be kind, to be honest, to enjoy it.
What do you believe about love now that you didn't then?
That it's for me and it's gonna happen.
Mhm. I'm glad you believe that for yourself. I believe that for you too. So I'm glad you believe that. Next question. What makes a good lover?
Communication.
Okay. Last question. What brings you joy?
My daughter.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
My little sweat. I was like,
I told you, you got this. It's all good. It's not. It's all good. I want you to tell us about your business and what you got going there in Connecticut.
so I have a business called Sangela. It is
Mhm,
an online boutique. It's earrings. I gotta restock on some clothes, but there's some steaming earrings that are very, very pretty. It's www.sangella.com.
mhm,
I'm in the process of making it a nonprofit called Mommy Moments.
mhm,
What that is, it's pretty much for young single mothers to grow and develop together, to pretty much realize that we all have a moment in life, like whether I mainly focus on like traumatic situations like mine.
mhm,
That was birthed from my traumatic situation.
mhm,
I birthed it July 29th, 2016. Was
mhm,
like, you know what, I got to do this. I pretty much just talk about my trauma, talk about how I've been dealing with it, and being honest and open, and just like not letting people know that I'm not perfect. There are days when I'm just crying and I'm just like not okay.
mhm.
So those are the things that I'm working on right now. I'm pretty sure there's more things coming because I'm a worker. I serve.
You're making. You're making.
I Yes,
Yeah, you go.
yes, I am.
That's awesome. Thank you for hanging out and thank you for sharing your story. Um, I
Welcome.
really appreciate it. If they our listeners want to connect with you, where can they reach out to you on social media?
Facebook is my name, Veronica Moses, and my Instagram is Ronnie Boo, RONIB 20.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. You hopefully you'll come back.
Oh yeah,
Um,
this was
yeah,
fun. I enjoyed
yeah.
it.
Come hang out. You know, it's all we could chop it up some more. But thank you for taking time out of your mommy duties to come hang out with me. I really appreciate it. Those of you who are watching, thank you. I see you, Rich, Corey, Samantha, Darshell, all of you all. Thank you for hanging out with us. I hope you learned something and were enlightened in some way. I will see you back here again for another episode of Patrick. No, it's not the Patrick D. Schaefer. It's the Love Again podcast. We'll be right back here again with another episode. All right. Talk to you later. Be safe. See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.